Okay, we are recording. I'm going to share my PowerPoint with you now. All right. So today we are going to be looking at the science and spirituality of water. Let me get the slideshow going. All right. Okay, so the science and spirituality of water. I'm going to make sure that nothing's going to interrupt me while I do this. So let's look at what we're going to talk about. So the topics are going to be salt water versus fresh water, the crystalline nature of water, water as a conductor of electricity, surface tension, precipitation, and vortexing water. And all of these things are going to be explained as far as what the science is that I would like you to get out of it. And the science of it is definitely related to it's related to what the messages are that are coming through. So we've got the fresh water versus salt water, and I drew this little representation of everything so that you could see all of it. Like you don't know which things are salt water and which things are fresh water. The ocean, of course, over here is the salt water, and then you've got this little river that's running out to the ocean that is going to be fresh water. The rain is fresh water, probably the freshest with the least minerals in it because it's dropping without the minerals. And then you've got a little lake here. So the thing that I want you to take in regards to the science part is that there are a lot of salts in the ocean, a lot of salts in the ocean, so much that it creates this buoyancy for us. You get in the water and it holds you up, and you float better when you are in the salty water. The salts are pushing upward on you if you were to float on top of the water. In the fresh water, you don't have that. You don't have all these minerals, all these salts that are holding you up. The other key difference here is generally, but not always, there's some really deep lakes. Tahoe is really deep, but generally the water in the ocean it's very deep, and it's huge. It's big water, and the fresh water is way smaller in comparison, as far as the volume that's there. So there's an emotional cleansing that happens with the ocean, and it's a very deep, deep cleanse. So it's going to pull out some very deep emotions, things that are acute, debilitating emotions like sudden grief or depression, sadness, longing, or your deepest hidden desires, things that you might be hiding from yourself. And I thought I might share with you my lifelong journey of dreams with the ocean. When I was a little girl, my recurring nightmare was that I was on a staircase and there were no sides to the staircase. It was just, stairs in the middle of water, and at the top was a closed door. And I could see nothing beyond exactly where I was. And the water was rising. It was slowly rising, but it was rising. And I would go up to the top of these stairs and try the doorknob, but it was always locked. It was always locked. And I have had, I've had to deal with some emotions that have been very deep for me. I've been very sad, had to overcome sadness, and I know that dream, sort of foretelling for me of how I've been stuck in ways that I've been stuck with nowhere to go and nowhere to go back either. Later, I had dreams about tidal waves, and I would be running from them, and I could never ever get away. That I never felt the wave crash down on me, but I couldn't get away. I was running and I would stumble. I felt weak. It was effort to move 3 or 4 feet trying to run from a tidal wave. Other times I've been caught in the wave action right at the coast and getting tumbled over and over and over. All of this is in dreams, all of it. And I've been in a dream walking down a road, saw a fence, thought I would climb up over the fence and look over on the other side. And I look over on the other side, and there's a raging ocean. And then it starts to chase me, and I'm running. And this one I actually could get away. I was running. The ocean is like running after me like a river, but it was still the ocean. And over time, I learned to deal better with things that I was feeling, and I would start to have dreams where I was kayaking on the ocean. The waves are kind of rough, but I was kayaking and I was maneuvering around these rocks and managing the waves. I was a way better kayaker in my dreams than I am in real life. And the last ocean dream that I had was not that long ago, and I was out in the ocean, and there was a really big wave. I mean, a big wave, like the kind of wave you would see in Hawaii. And at the they have some big wave beach there. I can't remember which island it's on, but there's a beach that has really, really giant waves. So we're talking, I'm in this 80-foot wave. So it hasn't started to break yet. And I think to myself, oh, I see where over there it's not breaking. I'm going to swim for it. So I start to swim, but I don't quite make it. And I see that the wave is getting ready to break over me. And so I thought, okay, I know it's going to happen. I'm going to watch as the wave comes down over me, and then I will take a deep breath right before it crashes on top of me, and then I will allow myself to just rise up to the top of this wave. So that's what happened, except I completely rose up and out of sleep. Also, it came down on top of me. I was starting to rise up in the dream, but then I woke up. So I don't know what would have happened, but had I not woken up, hopefully I would have floated to the top, which was my intention, and everything would have been fine, and I would have started swimming again for the place where it didn't break. So what these dreams tell me, I know that water is about emotion, and for the ocean, it's this really, really deep emotion. So when you are affected by the ocean, or you dream about the ocean, there's something really deep that you're dealing with that is immensely difficult for you. And I would invite you to take a look at what that might be if you find yourself having these kinds of dreams and connections with the ocean. Fresh water is also a cleanse. Oh, back to the ocean. If you decide to work with the ocean to help you with things, just remember that you could be asking for a lot. It could dig out some deep things for you. I think I might have that on a slide later. We'll come back to that if I need to say more. So the fresh water is an energy cleanse too, but it helps with chronic things. So the ocean is an acute, deep energy to help you deal with emotions, or to show you that you're having these emotions, where fresh water is a much gentler cleanse. It's going to help you with the subtle emotions, the that we hide from ourselves, like obligations or guilt, feeling guilty, doing things out of obligation, and dealing with things that we secretly would like to let go of. So if you are connecting with or dreaming about a rocky river, then you're likely getting tumbled along, not really in control of what's happening to you. When you um, start to deal with larger lakes and rivers, you begin to have um, sort of somewhere in between the ocean and the lakes or creeks, because the ocean gets deeper, and it's still it gets to deal with deeper chronic issues. And I think that that's what we're going to look at when we get to the end and we do our meditation. We're going to come back to the issue of larger lakes and rivers, and that's going to be part of your homework. Okay, so the balanced representation of the ocean is support. It uplifts you. It helps you release these debilitating emotions and helps you embrace safety. Again, if you're working with the ocean, remember that you want to understand its nature and what it's going to pull out of you. So be prepared for that. And then the balanced representation of freshwater is the release of things that keep us from being authentic. So what you get then is serenity, peacefulness, harmony, joyful adventure. You get to have anticipation, easy pathways around interesting obstacles instead of things appearing like an obstacle at all. The obstacle now becomes interesting. It becomes an interesting divergence from what you thought was going to be something simpler. So that's ocean energy. And know that I would be stopping for questions right now. And if you have questions, please post them in the thread if you have any questions. So now we are going to look at the crystalline nature of water. I love water so much, and I love this property of water, and has spent a bunch of time looking for the things to show you what water looks like and what it does. So here's let's look at this top molecule first, this molecule of water. The red is oxygen, and the black, these are the hydrogens. So you'll see that oxygen has a negative end and a positive end, just like inside a battery. A battery has a negative side and a positive side, and then electrons travel from one side to the other inside a battery. That's what makes a battery is the reaction of moving an electron from here to here, and then that passage of electricity gets captured and we use it to run things. So that what's important to remember about water is that it has this positive side on the hydrogen side, and it has a negative side on the oxygen side. So now water, I had a professor in college who said that water was a micro slushy, and I love that analogy because it's kind of frozen and kind of not all at the same time. It seems like it's mostly liquid, but on a molecular level, it's not. So what happens is, you know how opposites attract. So the hydrogen here, which is slightly positive, gets attracted to this oxygen. And then it does that. It continues to do that until you've formed this structure that this is what ice looks like. And the cool thing about water is you can see that unlike a lot of other substances, water, before it's frozen, is way more dense than it is when it is frozen. This is just an interesting property of water. It opens up when it's frozen because it likes to line up with the positive and negative ends of things. So, but this slide didn't quite show it all. So I found another, because I wanted you to see really what it's like here, when the particles are floating around together. So you have this little micro piece of ice over here, and then you have this disordered liquid piece right here, and then you have another little micro piece of ice. So here's the ice structure. And what I'd like to also remind you of is this is the shape of that Earth honeycomb grid that we connected with during our first meditation. I believe that's in the first meditation that we did. And I'll have to go back and check. So this is one, I keep losing my cursor. So this is what one complete ice structure looks like. But then when it's all connected up together, you get this whole grid of ordered water. This is still, this could still be considered, sometimes it's still ordered and it's liquid, but it's actually a micro slushy. It's in ice formation. So this over here is a more, this is a more representative picture of how this looks. So, and then they call this the disordered liquid structure, which is the same as this here. However, this didn't quite show everything that I wanted you to see, so I drew you a little picture. So this is semi-ordered water. And water is not just water. It has these other ions in it too. So I chose iron, potassium, sodium, magnesium, some things that would be common to find in water. So all of this is in water. So it's work for water to freeze. And when it becomes frozen, like in this picture, or in this picture, there's no room for those other ions to be in there. So when water freezes, it has to push all of these things out. And the more salts you have in water, the harder it is for it to freeze. It takes longer. It takes more cold. So that's the science of water as a crystalline structure. All right. Somehow I've missed something here. That's odd. So I don't have the slide in here for the message from Crystal Water. So I'm gonna pause this for a second and go grab my book. I'm just gonna pause the recording for a second, and okay, I'm back. I'm gonna put this back on share so that we can at least get back to the picture. I'm not sure how that happened. That's weird. I swear I remember making that slide. That's funny. Okay, so this is the information that I received about the crystalline nature of water. And that is that the crystals, just like other crystals, other minerals in the soil, it carries, the crystalline structure carries divine information, and water is a liquid crystal. So it not only stores information, it allows fluidity so that information can change and transform and up level. That's the important piece to this, is water allows for really easy, flexible structuring of divine information, and then it can jumble itself all up and start over and up level with that information. So when we drink healthy water, we are giving that gift to ourselves, and that's why our blood has so much water in it, and so much water is used in our bodies for everything that we need. So we can adjust our own vibration on a physical level by drinking higher vibrational water. And then we can also take actions ourselves to raise the vibration of water. So everything works both ways. But the important message about the spirituality, the spiritual message from water, has to do with how easy it makes for us to up level. All we have to do is be conscious of it and actually use water consciously and aware, with an awareness like that. Okay, so then water as a conductor of electricity. So, hey, I didn't need, my cat is interfering with our recording. So I didn't need an extra illustration for this, because what makes water conduct is these ions, these potassium, the iron, the sodium, the magnesium, they all have a charge on them. So conductance is a measure of water's capacity to pass an electrical flow. And that ability to conduct electricity is directly related to the concentration of ions in the water, where ions are either positively or negatively charged. And that positive and negative charge is what makes water able to conduct an electric charge. So if there's a source for an electric charge, which the most likely is going to be a lightning strike passing through water, then what happens is that charge from the sky bounces off of all of the negative particles that are in the water. That's what it's going to be repelled from. So the charge that's coming into the water from the lightning is negative, and then the negative ions in the water are going to cause this bouncing thing to happen, and it will just go bounce, 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 bounce. And so the more there are, the more bouncing you will get, and the further it can go. So let me see, did I leave anything out with that? I don't think so. So, so what that does is conductance, what it does is you have waves, you have actual physical waves in water, and then you have electricity waves. So you have waves inside waves inside waves. So you have these infinite layers of waves. And electricity becomes a life form with a purpose. And in the physical, what it does is it excites electrons. So that word excite, I love it that this is actually a scientific word. It's a scientific word for energy that forces an electron to move upward or outward away from its normal place inside an atom. So it'll be whizzing around a nucleus. Some energy comes in and pushes that electron up further away from the nucleus. And when it's in that state, when it's been pushed up, it's called excited. That electron has been excited. And it creates a different energy and a different vibration. And it doesn't like to stay up there. It will eventually drop back down. And when it does, it releases some of the energy that it has absorbed. So this electricity is a life form, and its purpose is to give us vibrancy and to help with our vibration, to bring our vibration up. And the way we as humans receive this is by earthing, which earthing is the practice of having your bare feet on the ground or sitting on the ground. There needs to be skin to soil contact. And when we do earthing, we are being exposed to the current that runs through the earth, and then it runs through us. And this is how we receive the electricity that is appropriate for our bodies. So the water in our bodies carries this current, and that current gives us vibrancy. So it keeps us young, both physically and mentally. So the more we are outside, the more connected we are to the ground, the more alert we stay, the more physically capable we are, the younger, we are. I'm going to say younger. It isn't, what that means is more vital, more vibrant. And we become better intuitive channels when we practice earthing, because our electric circuit is connected and it's open for the physical and the metaphysical. It creates a current of health and a current of knowledge. When we're connected, the wisdom comes in much more easily. So the balance comes in much more easily. So those are the spiritual messages about conductance. Surface tension. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I think I mentioned, maybe I didn't, the hydrogen bond. I'm going to go back to that one picture. This one. So when water lines up like this is what we call hydrogen bonding. So the hydrogen is attracted to the oxygen, and I don't know why they don't call it hydrogen oxygen bonding. They just call it hydrogen bonding. So it's not like a regular molecule where the atoms are like all like attached to each other like this. They're kind of like this, and they're just sort of, they stay in each other's vicinity. So what that does is it holds a water droplet together, and it gives it what we call surface tension. So it's that's what the whole micro slushy thing of it all. So you wouldn't expect a piece of ice to just go spreading out all over the place. It holds itself together. And a water droplet will do that too because of its surface tension. So if you were to place a little drop of water on a plastic surface, then you get beading of the water, because the plastic by itself it's all balanced. It's like, okay, I've got a carbon and a hydrogen and a hydrogen and a hydrogen around me, and it's balanced. So this plastic, it doesn't have a charge. Everything has been balanced out. So it doesn't have polarity the way the water molecule does. So polarity meaning a little bit negative on one side and a little bit positive on the other. No, with plastic, no positive, negative side, nothing. It's neutral. So water doesn't want to really stick to it, so it sticks to itself instead, because that's way more amicable to it. It likes sticking to the opposite charges. So that's how hydrogen bonding creates that surface tension. So back to that for just a second. So what that does is it continues to like stack on itself. And if water climbs up the inside of a plant, or in my line of work, the inside of a glass pipette. So when you, or if you have like a glass of water, if you really look at water at the surface of it, at where the top of it is, it's not level. It's curved. It's curved like this. So, and that's because water, because it likes to stick to itself, it's like, hey, we want to be up here with you, and it tries to climb all up on top of itself. So naturally, This is the spiritual message concerning surface tension. So, so what water shows us is that it's easier to get things done if we are all helping each other move up. So in the community of water, there is a cohesiveness of help, and there's also some individuation for self-expression. So that's, here we go back to this picture again. Here is the cohesiveness that gives help, but here is the zone of individuation where we can also have our own particular self-expression. So just to be clear, water as a crystal is showing us that we can be a community that helps. Water as a disorganized liquid, not all lined up with its hydrogen bonding, is showing us about individuation. So this is actually the divine masculine and feminine of water. Water has connection, but water also has individuation. So in that connection, we are all helping each other. Water is helping itself, and it also has the part that is disordered, where you have all these individuals floating around doing their own thing and having their own purpose. So there's a community purpose and a collective expression of what that community is about, and this is how it represents how to be as human beings. And there is the individual purpose and expression that each individual gets to do. So I hope that's clear. I feel like I want to just say one more time that it's the chemistry in water of either being structured like a crystal that is teaching us community, and the combination with the unstructured sort of chaos of water where everybody's floating around as individuals, that shows us about individuation. And the fact that the water is doing this at the same time within itself, it's showing us the balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. So I hope that's clear. Yay, precipitation. Okay, so one of the other things that more things that I love about water. So we're going to talk about rain, snow, and sleet. And first, we're going to talk about how you even get precipitation in the first place. So this is a little particle of something. So the water needs something to condense on for it to form a droplet. So generally that condensation, it's called a condensation nucleus. It's the nucleus, it's the center of the water drop once the water drop forms. And I've been away, so Benny hasn't seen me for 2 days, so he needs hugs, right? So these condensation nuclei can be an aerosol, and these aerosols come out of trees. They go up through the tree as it draws water up through its body, and then the water comes out through the leaves, and as it goes out through the leaves, it carries this little aerosol with it. And when I say aerosol, it's an organic, of course, with trees, it's a natural organic molecule that if you're in a pine forest and you smell that pine smell, that's aerosols you're smelling. That's a condensation nucleus that you are smelling when you smell that smell. And it's taking water up into the sky on it. It's taking some water molecules. So here what we have is the beginnings of condensation happening on this. And then you can also have, I believe I said, dust particles or metals can condense water on them. So this is what it looks like when it's beginning. And here's what we have when it actually begins to form a droplet. And this is I drew this so that you could see what the size looked like. So here's the little condensation nucleus, and then here's your general average cloud droplet. This is a large cloud droplet, and when you get enough of these droplets together, then you get a raindrop. And in this picture, this is just the tip. This is the tip of the raindrop. So that raindrop is like way big compared to these particles. So there's some work involved creating raindrops and creating clouds. So here are our spiritual messages about precipitation. So it's self-nurturance. I mean, think about what's happening to the land and to the wildlife even, and the plants that have rain falling on them, or other types of precipitation. So, but precipitation doesn't always come in a way that feels nurturing, right? So what's that all about? So in general, if you have gentle precipitation, if it's a nice slow rain or a dripping fog or a peaceful like snowstorm, this is when we are in everyday maintenance of our nurturing and taking good care of ourselves. That's what that type of precipitation represents. When you start to get larger types of precipitation events like thunderstorms, big rain, flurries, these are the big ways we take care of ourselves, like taking really long vacation, and or even it could be like that weekend that's coming up. You get a 3-day weekend and you don't do any chores. You just pamper yourself the whole 3 days that you have off from work. And then those really like great vacations, because those events, even thunderstorms and snow flurries, even though they can be quite high vibrational, right? We could call it that. They still are nurturing. They're just like a grand display coming from Mother Nature. When you start to get into torrential flooding, driving sleet, these massive snow events that bury everybody's cars, these are wake-up calls. So this is when you are sick, you get sick for 2 weeks and you can't do anything, or you break an arm or a leg and you're forced to take time off, and you're forced to have people come over and take care of you because you're not taking care of yourself, or you're taking care of everybody else. Those things are wake-up calls. So when you have this come up in a dream or in a meditation, and this is how you are seeing water or precipitation, then you have something to go on. You can stop and think, okay, I dreamt about, like I used to do, I would dream about ocean floods. It was weird that it was the ocean. Just following me, like what was I not doing for myself when I dreamt about those things? In a way, I wish that I had done my dream journaling back then. I didn't. I wasn't doing that back then so that I could examine it, although I could definitely do that now. And I think I might, because when we do our meditation at the end, I'm not going to tell you yet what we're doing, but you'll be receiving a guide who can help you with messages from water. Okay, so so this is the last piece, and the most interesting to me concerning how water behaves. And I've looked at all of these complicated drawings, and I came up with something simple that I really hope makes sense. And if it doesn't, then we'll talk about it. We'll maybe even take some extra time if we need to, and we'll talk about this. So water vortexes, and water, when it's been left to its own devices vortexes inwardly. So there's an inward motion, like this is the implosion. So you can see the little arrows here. The water is starting at the center and going this direction and swirling in, always ever swirling in. What that does is it keeps it away from the bank. So it doesn't affect the bank, and it does that on both sides. So on one side it's going counterclockwise, and on the other side it's going clockwise. So it's not an outward motion. The water is rotating in like a whirlpool, okay? So with a whirlpool, if you got sucked into a whirlpool, you know how that goes. You get sucked down into the center until you like are drawn down into the bottom. That is an implosion. That is water moving towards its center as opposed to outward to the edges. So outward to the edges would be like if you take a yo-yo and you swing it over your head like this, and when you let it go, it goes flying off that way, outward. That's what we call centrifugal force. The inward one is called centripetal. Not that those words are important, I just bring it up because they have names. So really what you need to remember is there's an inward spiral in the water as versus an outward spiral. If you had the outward spiral can happen when we don't let water create its own banks. When we come in and we try to make straight line banks for water gets chaotic. It is the water wants to form the bank. The water is not formed by the bank. Hope that makes sense. The bank does not tell the water what to do. The water tells the banks what to do. So then what you end up having with these inward and outward spirals, in this case, I've drawn a picture of a healthy creek. So the spirals are going inward. So not only are they spiraling this way, they are moving forward. So it looks like a corkscrew. So it's what they call laminar vortexing flow. The laminar part means straight line, even though it's not really straight. It curves like this, right? That's what a river does. And so what you end up having is as the river flows or the creek flows, it moves this way and it does this inward thing, and then it comes this way and it does this inward thing. So what this does, surprisingly, as water moves inward on itself, it actually cools. It cools down to 4 degrees C, 4 degrees Celsius. And this is actually the best, it creates the best environment for water. It is at its healthiest. It is storing the most energy. It is, this is cute. Look at this. Sorry, I'm distracted by my kitten. It's storing energy at that temperature, and at that temperature, it is the best environment for healthy bacteria and the death of bad ones. And if we don't allow water to do this for itself and create its best environment and best temperature, then what we are doing is creating water that is a good environment for disease and bacteria to thrive. If we let it have its spiraling flow, its vortexing flow, then it attains its proper temperature and proper structure to be clean, healthy water with the kind of bacteria in it that we need. Also at 4 degrees C, with this swirling motion, you get these micro swirls, and this is where fish hang out. So if you look in a river and you see trout hanging out, and the river is like pouring down over the rocks, it's what's happening at the 4 degrees C is those little vortexes are coming back around the fish and coming in behind their gills and pushing them forward. And this type of motion will also it picks up sand particles, and it doesn't create a channel that's filled with silt. It picks up the bigger particles along with the smaller particles. It just, the way the energy is, it pulls everything. That vortex comes back around and it pulls things down the stream. It doesn't push it down the stream. It pulls it down the stream. So it is able to pull sand along. So the channel doesn't fill up. When you make a straight channel, then the water can't do that. It's going to fill up, and it's going to fill up, and then it will overflow its banks. Okay. All right. So the spiritual messages about vortexing water. So this vortex is the energy of life and activation for Earth and all of her beings. That vortex is our chakras. And our chakras like to go clockwise and inward. And we need to drink water that has been through this process because it promotes health on all levels, that physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual levels. The outward spiral, the one that, like I told you about the yo-yo, this is how nature destroys everything. This is how she starts over. And it's a very obvious and easy to observe type of energy, and the way it creates action is quite visible. So it's what we've noticed. The inward spiral that actually preserves energy and uses all of the energy that is there and doesn't create chaos is not what we are using to make things go. We're using the other type of energy. The type of energy that nature uses to destroy is what we are using to make things go. So this is what creates chaos in our environment and in us. So by using this energy to create things, we aren't quite necessarily making things that aren't going to stay together. So just from a spiritual, metaphysical aspect, our structures, our society, our communities, our cars, the things that we build are being built with the energy of destruction. And building with the energy of destruction creates imbalance around us. It creates the ability for things to decay. And I'm willing to bet that this is what makes it so that we don't live as long as we really should be living, and we start to decay a lot sooner than we should. So we're highly affected by this opposite use of energy, and the way the water is showing us to be using energy that makes sense, that doesn't destroy. It works with the bank. The bank that the water runs through says, okay, yeah, I can work with that. Let's just move this way, that way. When it's not doing that, the water overflows the banks and destroys everything. So we should be drinking water that has been vortexed properly. You can buy one. I actually looked it up. I think I'm going to get one. So I'll let you know how that goes. So I believe that is everything. Yes, that is everything on our science and spirituality of water. So what we're going to do is we're going to meet a water elemental. We're going to meditate on a water elemental. And right now I just want you to meet her. So hopefully Benny is not going to interrupt me while I do this, because he's enjoying being held right now, and hopefully he'll just stay right here and help me find my elemental. So what I'd like you to do is close your eyes and start to breathe into your heart space and see that heart light that you have in there. What color is that light today? And as you look at that color, watch it expand out to hold your whole heart. And then your whole body with each breath. And ask the archetypes of divine masculine and divine feminine to come into your heart space now, into where that light is, the center of that light. And as they do this, you are connected to the above through your crown and the below, our Great Mother, through your root chakra. And that energy dance that happens when they meet is happening. Divine masculine is bringing energy down through you, wrapping itself around the Earth's core. And energy from Earth's core is coming up through you and connecting with the divine masculine, creating the infinity in the unified heart space. And now, if you might remember that high heart space that we went into once before, the high heart is the doorway to the spiritual world, to the etheric world, the energy world that we keep in our heart. See yourself moving up into that high heart. Sometimes I see mine as I climb a ladder from my heart center up into my high heart. It's almost a ladder that goes nowhere and everywhere at the same time. And here in my high heart, there is a waterfall. And see your waterfall. It might be small. It might be an actual place where you've actually been. It might be something in your imagination. I see it as it's a golden waterfall right now. And what I would like you to do is dive into the pool at the base of that waterfall. And you swim through that water. And as you swim, you find a cave. You swim into that cave. Take a look around. Look and see what's there. You're still underwater, but you are in a cave and you see a light above you. And you rise up toward that light and your head pops up out of the water. And you're in a beautiful earthen cave. The sand is glittery. There is almost an internal light that you don't know where it comes from, that you can see in here. And you can swim out onto the bank inside the cave. And while you're in here, you see the water's moving. There's something that's underwater. And it comes bursting up and out, and inside that splash of water is your elemental. Some sort of spirit of the water. It's a spirit of the water, of your life water, your energy, your crystalline, balanced, chaotic water that has the divine masculine and the divine feminine balanced within it, with the crystalline structure and the disorganized structure of water, the connection and the individuation. And this is your water spirit. And right now, he or she might give you a name, give you a gift, give you a message. This is just a meeting today. Your water spirit, your water elemental will have more information for you later. You might have something to take back with you. Or not. But you can come and meet her here anytime. I say her because mine is a her. Yours may not be a her. And now it's time to dive back out of the cave. Swim out. Come up through the pool in the waterfall in your high heart room. Back down into your heart center, where you can now choose to be balanced within yourself. Invite divine masculine and divine feminine archetypal energy to be released back to the above and the below. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes. So that is our water day. And I had a mermaid, which didn't surprise me. Sometimes I get surprised. This time I had mermaids. Well, a mermaid. So I am curious to hear what you all received for yours. Let me know. Post something in the thread so that I know, because ordinarily we would get to talk right now. And today we don't get to. So I am going to go ahead and stop this recording and get it posted for you. And much love from me, Benny Boo. I will talk to you all on Thursday. Bye.